Hey guys, it's Elisa A, spiritual medium, connecting you to your family, friends, and pets in spirit. Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I want to give you a big tip for developing mediums, for people who are interested in developing their mediumship skills or already in the process of their mediumship development skills, their development journey. And if you're interested, let me know in the comments below and I'll make more videos like this with different tips. So the tip for you that I'm going to talk about in this video is to say everything. Say everything that you get when you're doing your practice readings. So we have to start there. You have to be doing practice readings all the time. In the first few years, I was doing several practice readings a day. So practice, practice, practice. This is trial and error, just like anything else. If you want to become a pianist, then you're going to have to be playing piano for hours every day, right? Well, it's the same exact thing. So when you're doing your practice readings with other developing mediums or practicing on your family and friends, whatever it is, if you see something in your mind's eye, you need to say it. If you hear something with your clairaudience or outside of yourself audibly, you need to say it. If you're getting information through your clairsentience, through your feeling, through your claircognizance, however you're getting information, images, words, feelings, you just need to say it. It took me a long time to have this breakthrough where I knew that I could trust what I was receiving. It took me way too long. And since I had that breakthrough where I knew that I could trust what I was receiving, it's really improved my mediumship because I would say 98% of it is correct. And it just leveled up my trust, not only in myself, but my trust in spirit. So because I used to tell myself like, oh, that's not going to be right. That must just be my brain interfering. That must just be a random thought that is interfering in my, in my reading or something like that. I would always just, because some things are very random. Some things are very strange. Some things your ego mind wants to say, oh, there's no way that's going to be correct. That's too random, or that's too whatever, fill in the blank. And then 98% of the time it ends up meaning something for your client. And sometimes the most obscure information that you're receiving is the one thing that your client really wanted to hear or really needed to hear. And you could have missed out on that because you were too scared to say it or you didn't want to be wrong. And so your mediumship journey, it goes hand in hand with your personal development journey in life. It's going to go hand in hand with your personal development for the rest of your life, because your mediumship development journey will go for the rest of your life. It's not just something that you practice, get good at for a few years, and then it's done. It's a lifelong journey. And so part of that includes overcoming the ego mind. So time and time again, your ego is not going to want to be wrong. But you have to be wrong to get better. Trial and error, just with anything else. If you want to become a skateboarder, you're going to fall over and over again. You're probably going to break bones, get sprains, be on crutches. You have to be wrong. You have to mess up. You have to make mistakes over and over and over again to become better, to develop. So controlling your ego, managing your ego is a big part of your mediumship. So you have to get to a point where you're not scared to be wrong. You have to get over your nervousness. You have to be comfortable with being vulnerable. You have to get comfortable with being wrong. You have to get comfortable with maybe being judged by your client or your practice sitter, the person that is sitting for you while you're doing a practice reading. They may have all kinds of reactions, and you're going to have to get used to that. And some of those reactions from them might be disappointment. It might be irritation. It might be frustration. Even though it's a practice reading, they may still have, these expectations, and you're going to have to get used to all of this humanness, all this human reactions, human ego-ness. It all comes with your mediumship development. So it was probably a few weeks ago where I was doing a reading and I received one word I was doing a pet reading. It was a woman's dog in spirit, and the dog told me bear. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, what about bear? I need some clarification, please. You gotta make it make sense. And when I asked them for clarification, I would say about 60% of the time I receive clarification immediately, but sometimes I don't. They just leave it at that with that vague piece of information. And so my ego was like, I don't want to say this. It's too vague. It's so frustrating sometimes. But I had already had that breakthrough of trusting what I'm receiving. And so I said, does bear mean anything to you? And she immediately broke out in tears and started sobbing and told me that she never really called her dog by its actual name. She called him by his nickname all the time, which was Bear. So that one piece of information was very meaningful for her. And if I wouldn't have said it because of my ego or because of my fear, then that would have, been something that she would have missed out on. So you have to think about the possibility that your practice client or your actual client, maybe this is the only time they're ever going to get a mediumship reading in their life. Maybe they're a skeptic, or maybe there's somebody who just happens to be at your client's house and they join in on the reading. They don't really want to because they're skeptical. This is the only time that they're going to hear from their person in spirit or their pet in spirit. And so you really want to do everything that you can to get the most information across to them from their loved one or their pet in spirit. And also, you are working for spirit as well. So you are a vessel, you are a channel for spirit, and they are counting on you. They are trusting in you. And so what if you didn't want to say that one piece because it was random or obscure, or didn't make sense to your brain? But, the person in pet in spirit really wants you to say this, and you decide not to for your own, your own personal reasons. And then that person or pet in spirit didn't get the opportunity to give that meaningful message to your client, all because you didn't trust. So you have to remember that spirit is also counting on you just as much as your client. Also, there has been countless times where my client has said to me, when I give them a piece of information, I don't know what that means. I don't understand that. Sorry, and I know that it's correct, especially if they give it to me a second time or a third time. But there has been countless times where my client will then message me back 3 days later, a week later, and say, you won't believe what happened, or you won't believe what I found out. I talked to my partner and they told me something I didn't know. I talked to my mom. They told me something that I didn't know. You were right. I didn't realize it, or I had totally forgotten, but then I thought about it for a couple of days and I was like, oh, that's right. And so many times, even if it doesn't make sense to them in the moment in the reading, they will message you a week later saying, I totally understand it now. So keep that in mind as well. And then the other thing is, I would be totally a very wealthy, rich person if somebody gave me $1 for every time that I had the experience where I don't end up saying what I knew I should have. And then the client later will end up telling you, I usually end up having a discussion with my client at the end of the reading or during the reading or towards the end of the reading. And then they'll end up saying something, or I will ask after the reading's over, and then they'll confirm it. And I'll be like, oh, I knew I should have said it. I knew I should have said it. I mean, I literally would be rich if I had $1 for every time that has happened, because it happens all the time. It's like you never learn that lesson of full trust. Just say it. If you end up being wrong, you end up being wrong. It's so worth being wrong for the chance that you might be right, and you give this, this meaningful piece of information for your client, or it ends up just being a piece where it strengthens your client's trust and in you and in life after death. So even if that's the only thing that it did, that one little piece, made something click in your client's mind where they're like, oh my God, okay, now I believe, or now I believe more, or wow, this is real. Life does go on. Then that's everything. That's what your job is. So I'll give you another example. This was just a couple of weeks ago, and I was connecting to a woman's cat. And so the cat was giving me an image of itself walking around its backyard. And the backyard looked kind of big and sprawling, and a tree and leaves all over the ground. And I didn't see any fencing. It just looked open, as if it would, if you were to keep walking, it would go into some woods or something, some open area. But my ego mind was having these we have certain judgments. We just do, based on how someone talks, or how they're dressed, or how they look. And my preconceived, judgment was that she was somebody who probably had a nice condo with just a small little patio in the back, or maybe a tiny little backyard. So in my mind's eye, I'm like, she doesn't seem like she would be the type of person who, and it's so crazy. It's so crazy, you know, how we come up with these preconceived notions. But that's what my mind was telling me. Like, no, she probably has like a condo, so it's probably going to be wrong. This image you're seeing, this image the cat's showing you of her having a sprawling backyard with no fencing, like that's going to be wrong. So don't say it. So a little further into the reading, the woman tells me, that's how my cat ended up, you know, dying. She got out, and my backyard has no fence, and she never came back. And I thought, oh, you gotta be kidding me. And I told her exactly what happened. I said, I saw it. Your cat showed me that you had no fencing. But I just thought it was going to be wrong, so I didn't say it. I was thinking that you had a condo with just like a tiny, tiny little backyard or something. And she's like, well, that's where I live now. I now live in a condo with just a little, you know, small patio backyard. But I used to live in a house with that cat. And when we lived in that house had no fencing in the backyard. So the image I got was correct. And it doesn't mean much if you say it, you know, after the reading's over, or after they tell you and you say like, oh, that's what I got. You know, they don't know you. They don't know you from anybody else. So, you know, why should they believe you? So it's very, very important that you say it, you know, when you get it. I had another reading very recently where I was connecting to a woman's dog, and I was hearing Paco, and I knew that wasn't the dog's name. And I thought, is this a man coming through? What's going on here? And I didn't want to say it, because I don't know, my ego was just like, Paco, really? Like, you know, this was a Caucasian woman. You know, there's just these crazy like preconceived notions that you have that are so silly. And so I always, you know, go back to no, you know, you've had a breakthrough. You just need to say it. And it turns out that it was another one of her dogs in spirit. She gives her dogs like very long names, like first name, middle name, second middle name, and then a last name. And it was a really cool, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly the name, but it was a very long name. And at the end, part of the name was Paco. So it was Paco, you know, stepping forward. So it was an animal communication reading, sorry. So I was connecting to her pets that are alive, but the pet in spirit stepped forward, and Paco was more meaningful than giving me his first name, because Paco was connected to the name of one of the dogs that she currently has. It's a confusing story of, you know, adopting dogs. And I can't remember the exact story, but when she explained it to me, I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder why he gave me Paco instead of his first name, because the name Paco is connected to the name of the dog that she has that's alive. That is also connected to the name the dog originally had when it was in the shelter, but then she changed the name, right? You don't always keep the name that they name your pet in the shelter. And so anyways, it was a confusing story, but after she explained it, I thought, oh my gosh, no wonder why he gave me Paco instead of his first name. Just incredible how intelligent spirit is. And so anyways, it was really important that, you know, that I had that trust and the ability to manage my ego that was stepping in and like, I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wrong. And I'm like, just say it. Just say it. And so anyways, I hope you get some value from that tip. Take some time to contemplate everything I'm saying, the part about managing your ego mind, the part about remembering that this could be the most important thing that you end up saying to your client, the thing about it may help them in their conviction and in even believing about life after death, because some people have a level of skepticism, and that's totally normal and natural. So there's so many moving parts in this that depend on you having the strength and the courage and the ability to just say it. Just say it. It's part of your journey. So anyways, I hope that helps you guys. Thank you so much for staying to the end of this video. Please let me know your comments, concerns, and thoughts in the comments below. Please make sure to subscribe. You have to hit the bell notification so that you're notified when I get another video. Otherwise, my channel will just float away into a YouTube oblivion and you'll never see me again. Literally, the majority of people that are watching my videos, because I check the analytics, are brand new people. It's not people that are already subscribed. And that's probably because they're not hitting the bell notification, so you have no idea when I have a new video coming out. So please hit the bell notification. It's 2026, so I am officially in the beginning of my 6th year of mediumship development. I will be developing for the rest of my life, but as of now, I'm in the beginning of my 6th year. So if you would like to book a mediumship reading with me to connect to a person or pet in spirit, or if you would like to schedule an animal communication reading with me where I connect to your pets that are alive, then you can check the link to my Facebook mediumship page, which will be at the top of the comments below. It's Elisa Ace /spiritual medium on Facebook. And that's where you can schedule a reading with me, which will be done over Facebook Messenger video call. So we'll be looking at each other. Even if you don't want to schedule a reading with me, please join us on my Facebook mediumship page anyways, because that is where I post a lot of mediumship content, a lot of spiritual content. When I have cool things happen in my pet readings, for example, when a pet will tell me something and then my client says, I actually have a picture of that, then with their permission, I make posts with the story and the pictures, and people really seem to enjoy that. So join us over there anyways, even if you don't want to book a reading, for some spiritual and some mediumship content. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.